Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're all having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1,570 years, celebrating 60 years. What are we celebrating 60 years for? Well, James Bond. Yes, with the final movie out of the original 25 that were done under Eon Productions. Now, this isn't really the 60th anniversary James Bond movie. Because No Time to Die was actually scheduled to be released in 2020. And of course, we all know what happened in 2020. And so it wasn't released until 2021, which was 59 years, but it was still James Bond number 25. And if you're like me and get very emotional over movies, this one is a real tearjerker. What's really cool is that this one at the beginning is the first one with Daniel Craig at the beginning that starts with actually, no, last night's one did. Spectre did. Yeah, Spectre started with the gun barrel. Yeah, Spectre started with the gun barrel with the red coming down. But on No Time to Die, the movie started with the gun barrel scene. He shoots, and then he's silhouetted there, and then his silhouette fades away, and you're in this winter scene all of a sudden. So there's no blood coming down from the gun barrel. It was kind of interesting, the way that they did that. But this one starts off with, if you remember, what's her name? Madeline Swan from Spectre. She is Dr. Madeline Swan. She's a psychiatrist, and she is the daughter of Mr. White. And you got to see her a lot at Spectre. She's back in this movie. And when they do the pre-credit scene, you get to see her mother being killed, which was that, how she always said that she hated guns and everything else. It's because she shot the intruder that came to kill her mother. And then she ends up escaping from him, falls into the ice. He actually pulls her out. The assassin pulls her out of the water, out of the lake, after she fell into the lake and got trapped under the ice. And that switches to the time period just after Blofeld was arrested, or put into custody, whatever, locked away. And so you see her and James Bond enjoying, I guess, retirement, having a holiday together, whatever. And they end up in a place called, hang on, I have to remember this, Matera in Italy. And that is where Vesper from Casino Royale is buried. And so at Madeline's insistence, James Bond goes up to visit her grave. And while he's there, he sees a card with the Spectre logo on it. And then the next thing, boom, he gets blown up. But he survives. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the rest of the movie. He survives, and he thinks that Madeline's betrayed him. So he ends up putting her, after having a few car chases and stuff around the little narrow streets of this Italian town, he puts her on a train and says, "I never want to see you. We're never going to see each other again." And basically, she goes off on the train, and that's it. It goes to the opening credits, and then afterwards, it is now 5 years later, and there's this, and so the story behind this whole movie is that there is that Spectre steals a programmable DNA targeting nanobot bioweapon, and it somehow these nanobots get programmed to certain people's DNA, so that when you have contact, if you're carrying that nanotech weapon, when you touch the person whose DNA it's coded to, it kills them. And so, but meanwhile, Bond is retired in Jamaica. We catch, Felix Leiter goes and catches up with him there. He also gets to meet Nomi, and Nomi is the new 007. So she's not James Bond, but she's 007. That's her call. She's been a 00 for 2 years when James Bond meets her. They kind of rub each other the wrong way, and that sort of thing. And she's very abrasive, very forward, very abrasive. And from what I recall from the 2 times I have seen this movie, is her movements, like when you see James Bond fight, when you see anybody fighting in the James Bond movies, they've got a fluidity to their movements, to their fighting movements and everything else. Hers seem to be a little stilted and not as fluid. That's from what I recall from the last 2 years. Now, I could be completely wrong, and so when I watch it again this evening, I may get to change my opinion on that. But In one scene, she's wearing a safari suit. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. They're bringing back the safari suits. Because being the 25th James Bond movie, there may be some references to previous movies in this one. And one of them was a safari suit. And she ends up wearing a safari suit. I'm like, serious? And it did not, and to me, it did not look, it was not a good look for her. They could have chosen something else for her to wear because that safari suit was not a good look on her at all. I don't know what the designers were thinking on that one. Maybe they wanted to pay homage to Roger Moore with his safari suits from his James Bond movie days in the 70s. I don't know. But to me, it was not a good look on her. But like I said, they're at loggerheads. She's completely against James Bond. She's out to beat him at his game because Felix Leiter has recruited James Bond to go after this one guy. And she's going after the same guy. So you've got the Brits against the CIA, MI6 against CIA. And she's determined to prove that she can outdo James Bond. And so very, very abrupt and very abrasive. From what I recall from the 2 times I have seen it, I could end up changing my opinion, which is fine. I'm allowed to. Because I could be recalling it wrong. I just remember her being very abrupt, very abrasive, and very in-your-face type of person, which I don't like, and I didn't like her. I just remember she rubbed me the wrong way with the way that way her character was acting. I mean, the woman who is playing 007 in this movie, whose name I can't remember. One moment, please. That's the one. I need the cast list. You get musical interlude. Lashana Lynch. And like I said, she's a great actress. She's a good actress. I've seen her in been trying to find other movies and stuff that she is in. So I can watch her in different things. I did like her acting skills in this movie. I just didn't like the way the character was portrayed, because it kind of they kind of came to loggerheads at times. But then they ended up, her personality completely changed, and they ended up working her and James Bond ended up working together very, very well after being at loggerheads for the first half of the movie and then switching sides, and everybody was friends and all of that sort of stuff. This one is a tearjerker at the end. It is, it's a real, this movie is a real tearjerker. This is the worst one for making me cry. Only because they kill off James Bond. I'm sorry for those that haven't seen it. They kill off James Bond at the end in this huge, massive explosion. And it's just the whole scene leading up to that explosion is just very emotional. A very emotional time. He does end up reuniting again with Madeline, because she happens to be the psychiatrist who's working with Blofeld, who's in custody, of course. So they end up reuniting, and she's got a little girl. Is that James Bond's daughter or not? We don't know. First she denies, then she says, he guesses that she is. She denies it, but we find out for definite at the end. So this is so this movie actually came out in 2021. So it's kind of the 60th anniversary one, but it's kind of not, only because it was delayed and everything else. But 60 years of James Bond, 25 movies. It's a long way to go. And what was the name of the song in this? The No Time to Die theme song, No Time to Die, which was sung by Billie Eilish. I don't know how you say her last name. It was sung by her. And she was the youngest person at the age of 18. She was the youngest person ever to sing a James Bond theme song. It did win a Academy Award for the Best Original Song. And it was the 3rd film in a row behind Skyfall and Spectre to win a Best Original Song at the Academy Awards for 3 years, for 3 films in a row. They also won. They didn't put the list here though. They said the film's other nominations included British Academy Film Awards winning 1. They had 5 nominations. They won 1. They didn't say what it was, unless it's there. Nope, I'd have to go look it up. And they also won a Golden Globe as well as a Critics' Choice Movie Award. So they had 2 Critics' Choice Movie Award nominations and won one, and they had a Golden Globe, which they won as well. But normally they put this little chart there that tells you what category they won, but this one it didn't. Hang on, I can tell you right now. Let's see. It was also nominated for Best Sound and Best Visual Effects for the Academies. Where's the Golden Globe? What Golden Globe did they get? Oh, Best Original Song for one for Golden Globe, as well as got all these wins here. Yeah, they had quite a few wins on this one. Golden Globe was for that one, original song. They got several for original song in here. Best Song Feature Film. There's a lot of awards that it was nominated for and won. There's this whole slew of them. But anyway, so this is a good movie, but it's a bit of a heartbreaker on this one. And will James Bond return? We just got to wait and see what they did, what Eon Productions decides to do. Let's see. Yeah, that's all my notes that I've got down for this one. Oh, of course, this is Daniel Craig's last movie as James Bond. So this is his 5th and final movie. I did have Lashana Lynch written down there. So that's what I've got for you guys for tonight. So we're going to go and watch that movie. You want to go watch the movie, Zeffie? The house is a little cooler, so I've got her a thicker blanket here to snuggle up with, and she's pushed it forward so she can lay behind the blanket and tuck her feet underneath the blanket. She hasn't quite worked out how to put her head under the blanket yet, but she'll figure that one out. Anyway, so we're going to be watching No Time to Die. If you have seen this movie, what did you think of it? What did you think of Lashana Lynch as a 007, as Nomi, the 007? You do get to see Moneypenny in this, and you get to see Q in this. Everyone else is back. There's some really cool action in this one too. There's a lot of good action and chase scenes, of course. It's not a James Bond movie if there ain't any good chase scenes. That's James Bond's movies are known for their chase scenes and the action as well. But the chase scenes are always good, always different. This one is the beginning credit, before the credit one is he's in the Aston Martin driving through the little town of Matera in Italy, and he's got chasing him a motorcycle and 2 vehicles, or is it 3? There's motorcycles and other vehicles involved in this. They trap him in this little square piazza. I think that's what they call. Sorry, washing just finished. A little piazza, and they have this big shootout thing, and he manages to escape and drive off and gets to the train station and puts Madeline on the train and says, "We're never seeing each other again." But of course, never say never, which is what we're going to be watching tomorrow night. So tomorrow night's viewing. So this is the final one in the Eon Productions, celebrating 60 years of James Bond movie, 25 movies over 60 years. That is a lot to have that's a long time to have a franchise going. And you notice all the different changes in fashion and technology and the stunts that get done in the movies. You got the introduction of CGI, and if not very many James Bond movies actually have CGI in them, which is kind of cool. And then there's the chase scenes, how they come up with those. Some of the stunts are really cool, but you see everything changing, even the political climate changing over time. Because you got Timothy Dalton's last movie, License to Kill, is during the Cold War, and then GoldenEye comes in, and it's after the Cold War, and after the USSR has been disbanded. The Cold War's no longer. There's no East-West Berlin. It's all one Berlin now. So there's all, because the walls come down. So there's been, so you see all that political change going through the last 60 years as well. So question for you tonight, since this is sort of like a 60-year celebration for James Bond, 25 movies, how many of them have you seen? What is your favorite one? And what is your favorite scene? It doesn't matter what is your favorite movie, and do you have a favorite scene from any of the other movies that you like? And especially on this one, what are your thoughts on No Time to Die? I would love to see what you think of this one. And what do you think they're going to do? And then tomorrow night, we're going to be watching Never Say Never Again, which is a James Bond movie, but not under Eon Productions, which is why it has been played out of sequence, because it came out in 1983 with Sean Connery as James Bond. You will not see any of the regular characters in there that you normally see in the Eon Productions of James Bond. So there's no Desmond Llewellyn there as Q. There's just a scene that just went through my head with the Q and Never Say Never Again, which just got me cracking up. And there is a story behind the name of the movie as well. So we'll tell you that story. And we'll tell you that story tomorrow night. But yeah, that's it from us for this evening. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. He konera.